Well, RBA Governor Philip Lowe was recently criticised for suggesting people get a housemate or live with their parents longer to ease the pressure on the housing market. To discuss this and the current state of the rent and housing market, I'm joined by Domain's Chief of Research and Economics, Nicola Powell. Nicola, thanks so much for your time today. Firstly, what do you make of Philip Lowe's comments, and is this something that we are seeing a little bit more of, people moving in with housemates or potentially with their parents?
We have got a rental crisis across Australia, and we are seeing people move into house shares because they're unable to afford to live on their own, or they're moving back in with their parents. I think really the comments made are a little bit out of touch and really are a little bit condescending as well, because I think this isn't just single people or university students that are struggling to pay rent. This is families, and it's very hard for a family to get somebody to move into their dwelling when they've got young children. So, I think what this really boils down to is the fact we just haven't had enough housing supply across Australia that really has driven this rental crisis Australia-wide.
Has the rental market improved at all, or is it just continuing to worsen?
We've got record high rents, and we've seen house rents increase about 13% over the past year. Unit rents are up by 22% over the past year. So significant increases in rents. What we have got is vacancy rates are improving, but only improving marginally. So it does mean we have seen a little bit of an increase in vacant rentals, but it still remains a landlord's market across Australia. And it does depend on which capital city you reside. So for example, Perth and Adelaide remain very tight, and it is like trying to find a needle in a haystack when trying to secure an empty lease. And really, to put this into context, when you look at our cities like Sydney and Melbourne, they've got vacancy rates that are still firmly a landlord's market. To get them into a balanced market, we would need to see today between 5,000 and 10,000 additional rentals being added to those capital cities.
Wow, that is a lot. We've also seen a collapse in new home approvals. What impact is that likely to have on the rent and housing situation, and does this put more pressure on the market?
Absolutely puts more pressure on the market. Demand's very elastic in the sales market and can bounce back pretty quickly. And we've got record levels of overseas migration this financial year and into next financial year. Supply takes time to come to the market, 2 to 4 years really to get to the market. And I think with approvals tanking, it really is going to stifle future supply. So I think it's just going to overall worsen not only the rental crisis, but also housing affordability overall.
And a stronger than expected lift in demand over the past 2 months is nudging property prices higher. Is this trend one that is likely to continue?
I think so. One of the biggest factors that influence a positive impact on property prices is population growth. And we know that population growth is ramping as a result of net overseas migration at record levels this financial year and expected to be next financial year too. So I think, that is putting pressure on the sales market, and you've got a very tight rental market as well. Most overseas migrants do rent upon arrival, but I think under the current circumstances, those that can afford to purchase probably will be looking to make that purchase and really kind of stepping away from that rental market. I think what we're likely to see are prices are going to continue to rise. We're seeing momentum being built. And when you look at markets like Sydney, some of those more premium areas actually bottomed out in price mid last year. So there's been many quarters of consecutive growth now. So the market, particularly in Sydney, is well onto a recovery.